Let's embrace innovative volunteerism.
Good morning, sir. It was a wonderful section, and really, you have the passion you spoke with cannot be neglected at all. Thank you so much. My question is related to passion.
Right.
Most of us in this bootcamp are discovered what we really want to do, what we really want to add up in society. But it is clear that doing business in Africa is not very, very smooth. And carrying, especially green businesses, carrying and making sure we keep pushing what we want, especially when a lot of individuals in society are still battling poverty. When you tell them of organic products, when you're telling them of going green and all that, people, they really just want what they can get, and the system is not really favorable for green businesses. So how do we maintain passion?
Excellent question. And thank you very much for asking that question so that at least I can give you some practical tips from my life experience. First of all, let me start.
My question.
Okay. Go ahead.
My question is, how do we not just maintain our passion and drive, but make sure we spread it into other individuals, especially when there is no monetary incentive at the initial stage, which is this kind of stage where we are startups and we still have some other struggles. How do we do it? Because more as you keep talking to people and keep encouraging them, most persons keep telling you, if we volunteer, we still need to pay our bills. And so getting people to actively be passionate about the green world is not really something that is easy on us. That's why most of us are running either a one-man or a two-man show, and only involving people who we can pay at some point to help us achieve some goals. So how do we just get people to get passionate? Because the environment is actually somewhere that we need to keep.
Perfect. Can I answer? Great. Excellent. Thank you very much for that question. First of all, let me start by saying this. So the person who refuses to volunteer said that he needs to put food on the table. So he ends up not putting food on the table because he does nothing. So what changes? The truth is that we need to be realistic to ourselves as Africans. I am an African. I was born here. I grew up here. I school here. So I speak from a position of strength, of understanding context, just like you guys do. And thank you for that question, because I want to use it to really elaborate on so many things. We are a continent that is actually an intensive care unit when it comes to reality. For quite a very long time, we've been made to think that people have to do things for us. And we've also been made to be attracted to things as a result of what we will get out of it, material gain, rather than doing something that can touch others' lives. And that has actually resulted in the attitude you see. So I call it an attitude. The lack of passion in doing things that can then close a gap is an attitude of selfishness. And that is why the bulk of the continent is entrenching. Let's speak the truth here. Because if I come here and I pretend to try to make you guys feel good, or those who listen to this to feel good, then I'll be failing in my obligations as a human being who is supposed to play a role to make other people's lives better. So I am diagnosing the problem before I answer your question. We are too selfish in the continent. And then we have been blindfolded with materialism, that anything without money in it, they will not do it. But the question is, when they don't do it, nothing changes. So who is then at the end of the day losing? The individual. And now let me get to the part of answering your question. The truth is that we ourselves have not understood why we exist on earth for. The purpose of life is to be useful. Period. Any other thing is not the purpose of life. The purpose of life is to be useful. And if you are to be useful, context, as I put in my presentation, becomes important. How can you be useful? To use yourself, your skills, to do something that can change a life in the community. A clear purpose inspires purposeful passion. Just listen very carefully. A clear purpose inspires purposeful, because passion to steal, passion to take away from, that's not the passion I'm talking about purposeful passion, that you can be able to volunteer yourself, avail yourself, and get trained to turn agricultural waste into simple briquettes to help a mother who is depending on charcoal and spending a lot of money and choking under indoor pollution. How many of us will do that? We will not do it. But unfortunately, it's only through availing yourself, because your biggest ability is your availability, that you can learn a skill, and that is called value. With value, you can exchange it for money. But people want to start immediately with money, jump to money. That's a terrible mentality in this continent that I have dedicated my life to fight it. And that's the essence of innovative volunteerism. So how do you instill passion in others? Work with the willing. And if there are no willing, work, because there is something in Africa called attractiveness towards a product. They don't like to be part of the process. They like to be part of the product. And immediately you produce the product, they will flock towards you. And those who are willing, you nurture them. And it's not going to be easy, because why should it be easy? Life is not a place for celebration or enjoyment. It's a place for us to leverage on what we have and turn challenges to opportunities. And so we must work hard and endure the pain. No pain, no gain. So to sustain your passion, it must be driven by what you do, touching other people's lives. It must be beyond you. And then to a part of a green business is not a smooth, yes, it shouldn't be. There are two aspects here that you should listen today and understand, which is a good question. What you guys are doing are trying to close a gap in the market. And that's where Africa has focused, to close a gap in the market. But we forget to know that there is a market in a gap. Did you get that? There is a gap in the market that we focus on, but we miss the market in a gap. Let me just give you a very simple example. A mother spends about maybe 100 nairas or 200 or 500 Kenya shillings or 1,000 francs, depending on which country you come from, to buy charcoal every week. Then you notice that this charcoal not only resulting in deforestation, it's actually causing indoor pollution that choke our mothers. They've committed no crime. The only crime they've committed is to use firewood to cook food, because they do not have any alternative. You now say, okay, I will learn a skill to turn agricultural waste, whether it's cassava waste or rice hulks or maize cobs, to fuel briquettes. Go to the internet, learn that. You now then develop those fuel briquettes. Instead of selling it at 100 shillings, you sell it now. The fuel briquette is closing a market gap. What is the market gap? They don't have alternatives. But you now sell it at a cheaper price. That's not the market in a gap. They will buy it because they need it. So, but sometimes when we do these things, we put the price high. We only focus in the gap in the market, not the market in a gap. I'll stop here.
Can you hear me?
Yes, proceed.
Okay, that's great. You know, I'm battling with the internet here in Uganda. Our internet has been destabilized. My question is that it's a bit related to the previous question that has been raised. How can we instill passion in the teams that we recruit? Because sometimes you find when you start a startup, like me, I started the Parent Entrepreneurs Academy from a lifetime story that happened to me since childhood. That's when I came up with this startup. And it happened that a few teams that I'm working with, we do share the same inspiration. But on the other side, there are some team members we do recruit, but when you find it's very hard for them to copy the passion that we all have as team members on the startup, so that we can expand the activities of the business or the organization further. So what are the best tactics to implement in order to instill passion in each and every member on the team? Thank you.
Excellent question. Excellent question. And it's just a continuation of the one that was asked. The reality is this. As a leader, and I face what you face every day, in your mind, you should know that we are a continent in intensive care unit. I'm talking about intensive care unit, our attitude towards work. A lot of people don't want to work, but they want to eat. They want to have money, but they don't want to endure pain. And those are the bulk of the people you will end up with. So what do? You must lead by example. You must show the passion. Your passion must become infectious. And you lead and work with those who are willing, and those who are not willing, don't spend a lot of time, because they will come back when they see that you have gone far. You cannot, there is an African saying that if you take a horse to the river and it's not ready to drink, no matter what you do, that horse will never drink. But what I have learned is that when you work with the willing and go ahead, that help inspires those who are not interested. And so we must become benchmarks to lead by example. You see me passionate when I talk. Yes, to inspire other people. But if I talk not inspired and not try to actually show how passionate I am, and we don't fake these things, it has to be authentic and lead through everything we do, then how can we then inspire others? So my advice to you is continue to lead as you are doing, inspire others and work with the willing, and don't belabor your time on those who are not willing, because they will not change. But always have in mind that when you succeed, you'll see those very people who were not passionate trying to be around you to be part of that success. So your interest should not be those people. It should be the mothers in the villages who need alternative clean energy solutions. Your interest should not be those people. It should be the mothers in the villages who need solar dryers to add value to their produce. That's the drive and that's purpose. So your vision should be to touch the lives of those mothers. And as you are doing, the willing youth who are listening, because the biggest aspect that I said today, and none of you are asking me about it, is self-discipline. You cannot be passionate around an issue and to sacrifice to do it if you are not self-disciplined. And you cannot change those who don't want to do it, but you can change them through your actions, and they want to flock to the product, not the process, because the process needs effort and they don't like effort. They just like to be part of the product. Thank you.
In a situation where some policies and regulations are obstacles on their own, and there's the African ideology of just join them and take what you're offered, what is your advice to young people on how to break this barrier and push for the success that we actually want to see?
Beautiful question, and thank you for bringing up that question. I mean, you guys are very sharp. I love this. You guys are really doing well. We don't live in a perfect world. Neither do we live in perfect countries or a perfect continent. That's the truth. That's reality. What does that mean? You will never get good policies all the time. But what I have advised young people is not to fight existing realities, but to develop alternative models that can make existing realities obsolete. Let me repeat. You do not fight existing realities. What you do is to develop alternative solutions, alternative models that will automatically make existing realities obsolete. If a policy is about taxation or high taxes on your enterprises, why don't you work hard to show the solution and then engage those who are engaged in policy to make the case of high taxes and showcase how they are actually affecting you, rather than complaining upfront when there is even no product that you have tried to do. What am I trying to say here? And what I am saying is there are a lot of young people who are doing solar dryers across the continent. I want to use a practical example so that my explanation is easier. So others are doing briquettes. Others are developing, fabricating machines for all those sort of stuff. Most of these things are anchored already in policy. But to get a part of developing those machines, They're expensive because the zero tax rating have not happened. But if they start and they make the case that, look, we are creating jobs for the youth here, which is part of government agenda. We are addressing ABCD, which is part of NDC's implementation. You then take that and make the case that if we are able to have this policy this way, we can then be able to create more opportunities. That's a more befitting approach than the complaining approach where there is nothing to show and blame people, oh, they're punishing all they're doing. It will not work. I grew up in this continent. We are growing up in this continent. It will not work. So let the product be leveraged to make the case for fine-tuning policy. And let me just give you a very simple example. In Uganda, we work with the UNBS, the Uganda Bureau of Standards. What did we do? We leverage our work, which we are doing in Buganda Kingdom, which we are helping young people develop solar dryers to help mothers in villages. From that data, we leverage it, and these solar dryers and nature-based solutions were integrated into a standards called Climate Action Market Incentives. And that Climate Action Market Incentive now can be assessed and leveraged by everybody to grow, to process, and then they can find a market and leverage on the Africa Continental Free Trade. We didn't go around complaining or blaming. We leverage on a product and then leverage it to change a policy. So that's the way to go. And please, things will never be easy, but always never give up, because that's the process to achieve progress.
My other question is that I believe charity should definitely begin at home. So I was wondering, how can we build Africa in such a way that we don't keep waiting for finances from outsiders to get things done right here in Africa?
Excellent question. You hit the nail on top, and here is it. It goes back to what I'm saying, and I'm very consistent when I am articulating these issues. I don't drift from one place to another. The attitude of us, all of us Africans, all of us with no exception, is that of dependency. The dependency syndrome is ingrained in our DNA. The best way to dislodge that dependency syndrome is what we are discussing here today, and is what 1111 Foundation have brought you people to nurture ideas, to guide you so that at least you can move ahead to implement these. But the best way to divest from this dependency mentality, or that if there is no money, nothing can be done, is what we have tried to debug, leveraging on this spirit of innovative volunteers, inspiring people, just like what I am doing here to you people today. And others came and did to you people, to work with what you have. Work with what you have and build value. Value brings money, but also leverage on local cooperatives. Can you imagine? Every community in the African continent have a cooperative. In Kenya, they call it chamas or SACCOs. In West Africa, in Cameroon, where I come from, we call it njangis. And I believe there is a name for it in Nigeria differently. But the point is, why do we not, if you get 1,000 Kenyan shillings or 100 or 200 or 1,000 naira or this, why don't you go and save it in a cooperative and then leverage more from the cooperative to build your initiative, or get people to groups to contribute little money, and then you people put it in a cooperative, and then from there take some more money to do your things. Why will you need funding for? And another aspect to debug that is that if you have a good product, you don't necessarily need money to make to start your enterprise. I talk about briquettes. You can even walk distances to deliver to people. When they get trust in what you do, you can actually get money. When I was growing up, there was a little shop closer to our home. The guy who was selling in that kiosk used to come to my mother when she wants to go to buy what she always used to go and buy from these people. And she would say, I want to go and buy that. I don't have money. My mother will give money even upfront. So we need to establish and leverage on systems that have functioned in this continent. Not always thinking grant, not always thinking, oh, donor money. And I am in no way saying you should not apply for donor money if you have the opportunity to do. I am talking reality that regardless of where you get money, the biggest sustainability of our solutions is building on what is closer to us. And the reason we do not leverage on this is that mentality that someone has to do it for us. As it is said, hand arts do not build sustainability. What we need is to leverage on what we have, because that's the only way to put our hand up. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks so very much for your presentation this morning. It's kind of inspiring, and it has motivated us more in order to continue to do what we are doing for Africa and the world.
Thank you.
As for me, I'm from Liberia. I run a social enterprise called Ecofield Liberia. We produce biobriquettes, which you have spoken of plentifully, and from agriculture and general municipal waste. So
Great.
we don't only how do you call it? We don't only solve the problem of deforestation, but poor waste management disposal happens to be one of the major problems we have seen in our society, and we try to provide such solution. So, like for our product, what we have found as a challenge happens to be with the mentality of our users. Wool-based charcoal has been used in Liberia for over a century because it has been the only product and there has been no alternative. For us coming, we consider our enterprise a pioneer enterprise, and as a result, we find it difficult for people to get used to using our product. So one of those things that we kind of introduced was the issue of reducing the price as compared to the conventional wood charcoal. Despite our product being more durable, it lasts longer, it emits less smoke and the rest of it, but yet we reduce the price. So how do you go about working with your users so that they get used to your product to continue that? Because despite us using waste, but at the beginning point we were like getting waste for free, but for now people want us to pay for their waste, which they would largely just throw in the streets, and it create environmental hazards and the rest of it. But now if you go to a home, okay, give her the waste, okay, pay for it because you are making money from it. So how do you try to educate people that these things are not of value to you? Give it to us and let us be able to help one another. I hope you get a question.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I got a question. I mean, what you are saying is realistic. I mean, I have gone through that myself from what we do across the country. So it's a very good question. And congratulations to all of you for what you are doing in Liberia. This is the point. The reality is this: you cannot change people's mindsets overnight. And I think you have already started on a very good footing. You reduced the price, which was a good thing to do. That was a good way to, first of all, start to get some people, what you are early clients and early adopters of leveraging to use briquettes. The next thing you need to do now is to get those who are really excited in using briquettes, who can give you testimonies, and then you use them as your early adopters offshot to showcase to others and engage in their different groups, so that at least those people can also be the ones to speak about your product, not only you. So when you leverage on that, it expands your market base, and then they become your not only your clients, but also your promoters and marketers. Then on the waste that is collected and being paid, this is Africa, as they say. The jealousy sometimes is real because you're making money out of it. So they see that you cannot get their things for free. That's reality, and you face that most of the time. So what you need to do is to do three things there. Firstly, you need you have to pay, because they are asking for it, and other people must have told them that, oh, this guy is making a lot of money, so you have to pay. What then you need to do is not just to depend on those people. You need to expand to other areas. But after some time, you need to get a mechanism in which only if they sort out the way you wanted it to be done, that you can pay them. And then you can provide them with different cans so that the sorting is done effectively, and then they are paid for that labor of sorting it out. And that way, it's also an opportunity for you to empower them, because they will be getting some little money from you. You will be getting the waste turning to briquettes, you're making money, then you are solving a problem in another community. So it just needs that selflessness, and then that is how wealth is created. Money exchanging many hands, not just for people to eat, but for people to do high effort to do something that benefits an entire system. So that's the kind of model that I would like you to take, and everybody should take that. Thank you. Please let me know whether you still have another question, because I don't know whether you've gotten what I've said clearly. Yes, Victor?
Yes, sir. It was well understood. Thank you.
Yeah, one of the things that I think you guys should think about, and it's something that is very, very important, is if you don't build a product, and the first stage of building a product is never easy. And if you want to start to build your product and upfront, people just come up to buy the idea, you lose out. What I called an unborrowed vision today was, what is it that you own? And you can take it forward. What I'm saying is not that you don't need support. There's a difference between support to help you achieve your own vision and support to help you achieve someone else's vision. So you need to always be very careful around that. And the second aspect is that you need to understand people don't reason the same way you reason around your initiative. And so people come in there either to make money. They don't really care about the vision, where you want to go. They might not really care whether you're helping touch people's lives, because the most important thing to do with your initiative is to ensure that the offshoots are touching people's lives. That's what, to me, will be more self-fulfilling. And as a result of that, you will make money, because once people buy into your initiative, they will become your suppliers and your clients. And I keep saying this, but when you succeed, you will see money flocking to you. Money follow ideas and results. And even when the money is flocking to you, you will then have the authority to say, no, okay, this is the only way we can do it. If it is this way, please go away with your money. Why I'm saying this? Because I speak with a heavy heart, because across the continent today, I see so many startups being sold off and bought off. And my question is, where is the future of Africa? And this you that excite, yes, we will sold it for 23 billion, fine. But you've actually sold the conscience of the continent in the name of selfishness, that you want to just put your money in your pocket. And then it's taken up now, the vision changes, and then it's done differently. Let's protect the nucleus, as I said. That's territory. And your nucleus is your vision, and nurture it so that it can benefit many other people. Thank you.
There are so many problems that we have in Africa.
Correct.
Yeah, and me being a person, I'm doing one now, which is the charcoal briquette production from waste. I was thinking on going into another one. So I was like, what's your thought? And yeah, you are passionate about a particular field. So, and you find that other people are not doing it. So you want to like do multiple things. What are your thoughts or advice to a young person who wants to do more than one or solve more than one problem in Africa?
Excellent. Good point. That's very clear now. You see, the reality is that the multiplicity of the problems, as you rightly said, are visible. So the first thing you need to do now, you've conquered the briquette arena, but you still need to expand to reach out to those who are still depending on charcoal. That's what you need to do. And don't be afraid of those competition. You know, your product should be the best quality, ensure the flammability, the brittleness, and all those sort of stuff. Then there are solar dryers. We are losing food worth $48 billion every day. Mothers cannot dry their vegetables. Venture into and learn how to develop solar dryers and decentralize them to communities to dry their food and pay a little fee. That's what young people are starting to do now, which is a very great opportunity, because everybody eats food, but the food being lost is actually depriving many people and plunging them into a food insecure home and reducing more money in more pockets. So venture into that arena. That will be an amazing arena for you to venture into. But more importantly, your business is just as good as your team. And I will say this, human capital is sovereign capital. And human capital is worth more than money, because when you have people who are loyal and are willing to learn and grow with you, then definitely deploying multiplicity of solutions become easier, because you can train them in all these other aspects. So get people who are loyal. When I say loyal, it's not about kneeling down in front of people. Loyalty to guidance, loyalty to advice, willingness to learn. Those are very, very important tenets that we need to have, because no matter how sharp and intelligent you are just as good as your team. Yes, alone we cannot succeed no matter how sharp we are, but we can. So one of the things I am trying to say is that build alliances. And I think this 1111 Foundation camp boot here is the best opportunity, because you guys now are connected now. Alliances are not only built within your own country alone, they are built across different countries. And I think this provides you guys an opportunity, because you guys have different ideas to cross-hybridize and also learn from one another. And please leverage on that strength and you will move. Thank you.
When you're looking for, you've said that human capital is a sovereign capital. So I'm asking, what is the process of getting a co-founder, and what should you look out for?
Yeah, the reality is, from lessons learned, my advice, this is not cast in stone, is just what I have said earlier. It depends, do you people have a common vision, right? Is the intent just to make money, or is it to solve a problem? What is the person's attitude vis-a-vis solving problems versus only focusing on making money alone? Because solving problems bring money, but focusing on money alone kill ideas. So those are the characteristics. Is the person passionate enough? Is he purposeful? But what I usually advise is, if you have your idea, please go register your company, right? And start. You don't just have to wait for others. You don't need to even start before you register. To start making briquettes, this is already in legal frameworks. Why do you need another person for? Go get yourself trained and start to coalesce with people who are willing, and then from there you can even then go register. Don't wait only to get somebody to register and then start squabbling and arguing around budgets and all those sort of things. That drains. But please, as I said, this is not a one-size-fits-all. That's what I would do. Common vision, common purpose inspires progress. When you get somebody who doesn't have a common vision and common purpose, he will dissuade and drains you, and you people will end up fighting every day. Do I mean that you should not get people to work with? That's not what I am saying. I am talking about common purpose, common vision, and passion to do that which touches many lives. If not, you will spend the bulk of your time only fighting. Because what inspires should be what touches a mother's life in the village through the actions we do. What inspires should be that what we do can create opportunities for other youth. What inspires is that if we are able to do all those things, we can package them as a product and make the case that if we were to give this amount of money, we can reach this number of people. That way you create a solid enterprise. But some people will have partners that will not want them to do that. They will want that, let's start making money immediately. You want to reduce your charcoal, your briquettes price. You say, no, we cannot reduce it because we need to. Now, money becomes the priority rather than the lives that are supposed to be taught. And that's a poor approach for entrepreneurship.
All right, thank you so much. We're very glad, to have you on this session today. You've spoken so well, especially with the issue of passion, commitment, resilience, sustaining your passion and all. My question really goes in line with the works young people, especially with the advocacy part, and then equally enlightening people on, climate change, and equally those as well. So here's the question specifically. Most times, especially when you're going into rural communities, you find it very difficult, one, to even educate them to understand, the effect of all this, cutting down trees and for charcoal and all that. So when you're telling them about briquette making, as a young startup, empowering them is something that is very difficult, especially with the tools and materials they need. So what advice will you advise us, especially like, okay, we won't say, okay, you said we shouldn't focus more on the money, but then money is important, to get some of this stuff. So what will you advise us to do, getting these materials? Do you advise that we reach out to authorities or organization, or what do you think we should be doing, when you're trying to empower them, Thank you.
Yeah, that's a very good question, Ibrahim. Thank you. I didn't say that. Look, I didn't say that you should not focus on money. I said that money should not be your priority, because money is a consequence. Money is a consequence, and it's a consequence of a product, right? And I gave you a question where do you start? My brother, if you just develop a skill, if you go to the internet, to YouTube, and look at how do we make briquettes, that's already a step. So if you are online on the internet and batching people and tweeting and batching politicians, I'm not talking you, I'm just saying, that's an opportunity that you could have used in learning a skill. That's already part of money, because now when you learn that skill, you understand it, you can perfect it. It's already saving you money, but you are building value. The second part is, if you don't have money, you could also look around and see those who are dealing on that. And then because you have a little bit of knowledge, you go, they train you and you work for them maybe for a week. So you don't pay money, but you give back your services. When you give back your services there, you are now fully trained, for example. So we need to just swallow self-pride and then do that. That's number one. The second aspect is, all of you should register in a local cooperative. Yes, please do. Go register in a local cooperative. And any little shilling or naira or franc you get, put a little money there and team up with your trusted friends. And when you get a little money, you put there and then take a loan there to get your first materials. The second is that when you get to that third, is you go into that community. Let me tell you one thing about communities. They don't care that language climate change. They want to put food on their table. When you take things to them, you need to give them to test. If you are selling it to them, they will never buy. What is briquettes? Briquettes is what? In Swahili, they will say briquette nenini. I think Mary knows what I am saying. So you go to give them some samples to test for free. When they test for free and they see themselves that it's better than charcoal. We did this in Nasarawa in Nigeria with young people who are developing briquettes, and they actually have to give them for free for households. And today they are being requested that they want to be delivering them to them. They requested delivering at wholesale. So what I said is, no gain without pain. The start will be painful, but the future is bright. Even me, you see me talking today. If I don't know whether you guys have read my book, Making Africa Work, is free online. Just go to www.richardmonang.com. The point I'm bringing up that is that the journey to the apex is never easy. But what keeps you moving is this fuel called passion. Passion to do something that touches many people's lives. Sacrifice. And I can bet you, when you do well, you will see financiers flocking to you. That's the truth. I have seen it firsthand. And I'm glad that you guys are asking these questions, because I think these are the key questions that are in the minds of so many young people across the continent. And sometimes they get discouraged because they haven't gotten this advice. So that is how it's supposed to be. Please, mothers don't care about cutting down trees in the village or anywhere. They want to put food on the table, send their kids to school, ensure that there is a next meal another day. And if you take something to them that they see, oh, I've been spending 20 shillings or 30 nairas or 30 francs to buy charcoal, and now, oh, this one, even if I buy for the same amount, it lasts me for 3 days. It's the socio-economic aspect of it that matters to them. They're saving money. So when you approach with your product, approach it in a way that you fill the gap that already exists. Because indirectly, you are still addressing climate action, environmental issues. But her interest is not those things. Her interest is the product. I don't know whether I've answered your question, Ibrahim. Please, if I haven't, clarify where I haven't. Because I think that was all the questions are important. But this was a key one, because it's what nearly all of you will face in the community.
Actually, you answered the question very well. Thank you so much. So as a young person right now, there are moments when you have the passion, you've gotten to 100 and then you just reset, like you go drop down and you just find that, okay, the passion is no longer there, maybe due to some challenges you faced, doing your works and equally trying to put resources together. So what exactly will you advise? There are moments when everything just seems blue, and then you just go down. You just feel there's no more passion, because what should feel that passion is not really there. So what do you think young people should start doing, especially when you see your business or idea or innovation, going down the drain, and then you're willing to do it, and you've reached out, you've tried your utmost best, and your resources are elapsing. So what should you do at that stage? Because everyone do go, as a startup, you all do go through this point, in our businesses, in our ideas, in our stages. So what should we do at that point of our business and life?
Thank you very much for that question. Please, I would appreciate if you guys can read my book. It's free. You will see the difficulties I went through as well. And I think that could inspire you guys as I answer this question. Life is not a bed of roses, that's the truth. You have to struggle to be able to get what you can get. But let me just answer your question. It's a brilliant question. All of them are brilliant, all you guys' questions. Enterprises, and let me just go back to this, and I think just you guys should listen just carefully. You see, an enterprise is not a name. It's the name gives you the opportunity to legalize it so that you operate within the statutory legal frameworks in the country or region. But the enterprise itself moves from that registration, whether it is called Preneur Solutions or whatever, it doesn't matter. It moves now from focusing on that to the products. And within the products now, people now take central stage. People are the most important element in business. And what do I mean? You need to win over them. Right? It's like a sweeto trying to win over the bride. I mean, you have to win over somebody. And when you win over people, even once you win over people, that becomes your capital. It's a difficult process. The clientele orientation is key. If you were to ask me what is the one thing today that young people in Africa will start on, it's clientele orientation. Understanding a gap is not enough. But when you understand a gap and produce a product, you need to win over people with it. And it takes time. It takes engagement. It takes selflessness sometimes to know that, yes, I'll give this art for free, but I know that I will not have the finances. But it helps to build you an opportunity that can then actually sustain you and start to help you to generate finances. So the idea is that when you are doing a startup, don't do a startup because you just want to make money. And let me explain. Money will come as a consequence of your good product. And more importantly, when you have won over people with your product, you now have a market. And once you have conquered the market, you are a billionaire. Whether you don't have the cash, you are a billionaire. It's like the arena in which we are in. Climate change discussions are jargon most of the time. But I intentionally leverage a different approach. It took me time to discuss climate change from an investment perspective. And that today has yielded dividend. It yielded dividend. So even when I'm discussing with you guys here today, you are understanding, and I'm talking enterprises, because I've helped other people create enterprises. So don't miss that element of having those mothers and fathers in the community talk about your product, demand for your product, because you've already won over them, and the winning formula is quality, not quantity. Good quality attracts. Poor quality, high quantity will make you lose your customers, and that is going to make your customers to run away. So that's what I could say at the moment.
Yes, sir, my question has been answered. Thank you so very much for this.
You're welcome.
With regards to the climate financing that I said, this is more broad, this is more beyond startup and individuals. It's a government thing, I know.
Ask the question.
Yes. So I realized, according to the statistics, I was watching somewhere yesterday, I realized Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, gets just 19 billion part of the portion of money, for climate. Let's just say 19 billion. I don't really know whether there are other maybe 19 point something, but it's 19 billion, for sub-Saharan Africa, for the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. And we all know that this is not enough money to finance, climate change in this part of the world. So many of us, okay, I'm from Nigeria, I'm based here in Nigeria, accessing this, the fund, not even as an individual, maybe as corporate or as organization, is quite difficult. It's a government thing, but then the CSOs and NGOs are meant to be, bring on board. So yesterday when we are having a session with the UNDP in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Environment here in Kaduna, and then they made us understand that, they made us understand that, well, this is a government thing. And in the last, in the last few years, what the government had just done was donate trees. When we talk about climate change, when we talk about environment, we are not really, proactiveness is not really coming up from our government, for example. And this is not really encouraging to young individuals that have innovations, that have ideas and all that. So many of us have decided, okay, maybe we are not losing hope in the government, and we are losing hope in especially with respect to environment and climate. So in this kind of scenario, because it's a kind of complex scenario, this kind of scenario where you have no support, from maybe government, especially when you have ideas and all, what should we do? Are we holding them accountable? Who are we to report to? How can young people gather up together to maybe the little portion being allocated to this region is not enough, but then how can we, the ones that are supposed to be even put on the table for us to work with are not being put on the table? How can we get that courage? What should we do? Should we just keep quiet and assume nothing is happening, even though we know a lot is happening? Or should we just focus on our own business and leave the government out? What should we do?
Thank you. That was Ibrahim still, right? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. This is, I think I alluded to this in my remarks and also in other questions, but thank you for bringing it up. The climate finance architecture is a very complex one, and those who assess it are mostly governments. That's one aspect. The second is, what you do, you must not start it only with money. I keep saying this to young people. Honestly speaking, the skills I have today, I volunteered myself to learn them, and today I am using them. So if you have an idea, get to the community, sell that idea, see the gap, and see what they can do and what you can bring on board. That's 2. 3 is, I don't understand why we're only looking abroad for this money. Let's look internally and leverage on our local corporations. Even that money comes, even if you shout to government today, what will you do? Government has already provided you the enabling environment to do your briquettes, to do your solar drying. We have NDCs already ratified. We have the climate laws already ratified. As I said in my remark, the implementers of policy are citizens. And you will never get the money you need, always. But you can then start with what you have and create a product and win over the community. And that is where your money will come from your clienteles, from profits that you're making out of the product you've made. That, to me, is where you can start. But if you are thinking that, UN will give you money, the world will give you money, your government will give you money, grass will grow for your feet. You don't hear things we don't talk now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Richard, for this. Thank you so much. I actually wanted to have your input. This is good. Thank you. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. You see, I can even speak pidgin. So, great.
Thank you for the enlightenment. I have 2 questions.
Okay.
What I do is turn plastic waste into interlock tiles. I'm a Nigerian. So I have a question on carbon credit and how we can, is there a way that we can leverage on that, or is too early for us to get that? Then the second question is, what we do is that for a square meter, we need 50 kg of plastic waste to make the interlock tiles.
You said interlock tiles, right? Tiles for pavement tiles. Is that what you mean?
Pavement, yes, pavement.
Yes, go ahead.
So to make that, we need for a square meter, we need 50 kg of plastic waste. And what we do right now, because we don't have people that gather it for us, we only buy it from what we call scavengers, and their own is expensive because they sell it to people who recycle into bin bags and mats, people who are big players already in the recycling industry even before we came. So they buy it for a very expensive rate. I don't know in dollars how I will convert the money, but here we buy it from 50 naira to 200 naira per kg of the plastic waste. So I don't know if there's any way you can advise us on how to source this plastic in easily instead of us depending to buy on these scavengers who sell it very expensive.
Which state are you in Nigeria?
In Abuja, the federal,
Okay, that's fine. I know I have projects there, so I come there a lot. That's not an issue. So, and then the next question is which kind of plastics? Because plastic is broad.
LDP is the low density polyethylene.
Okay, and you get these from scavengers in Abuja?
Yes, we buy it from them.
Okay, have you thought of other neighboring states like Nasarawa that are closer that you can then, who may not have these actions or pavement tiles developed from plastic happening, who might not even know what they need to use the plastics for, to then source from there?
In Nasarawa state, they used to sell it to, because Nasarawa is very close to Abuja, they used to sell it to these companies that turn the waste into bin bags. Like I know a company, they are already situated in Nasarawa, which they turn it into bin bags or these black nylons that you put your shopping items inside.
So everywhere in Nigeria they sell it?
No, Kano, Abuja, and Kaduna. That's where, and Lagos. That's where people are aware of that. But other states like other states that are not selling, the problem is the logistics. When we buy, even if we get it for free, transporting it to Abuja is a problem because we need it in large quantity.
Yes, I think that I wanted to dig down to that. So every approach will have a problem. So you are better off with scavengers. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Then building on that, what I think you need to do is, I think it's the same way that I answered to Victor from Liberia, where I was trying to say that you work with what you have, but because they need money, you make sure that there is value for money. If it is plastic, I believe that it needs to be sorted out. The low density one you mentioned about to sort it out so that you are paying them for the efforts they have made. And then from there, you try to expand that base and get people who can then be able to deliver you higher amounts of those, but at a price that is affordable. And that needs to be gradual as you also build, because they are your clients from the perspective, they are suppliers from the perspective that they supply you with a plastic to make your pavement tiles. You are having them already now as your source of material, and you are also bettering you also better their lives in that when you buy off, they put money in their pockets and then they can do other things. So you just need to ensure that at least the quality in which you get that, if it is affordable, then make sure they put effort to separate the plastic into the forms that you need them to be. And if there is something they can do, even upfront before you collect it, you can then engage them to do that. And that could actually help. And then they become part of your workforce since you are already dealing with them. So that's the kind of thing I would say. to be able to address that issue of sourcing for material. But you can also, after some time that you have built the initiative, start to engage other trusted people in other states where that is free. And but that will take time and engage to see whether you people can work together still under your umbrella initiative, so that you don't have to bring those things to Abuja, but you can be able to provide some training to them to work with you to be able to start processing those things there. You can always go there to supervise. That's the kind of thing that can happen, but after you've built some confidence with some people and start to make them to see the vision aligning to that. So that could be the best way forward that I can advise you with. That is practical.
Okay, then the second question on carbon credit.
Oh, perfect. Yes, I intentionally started with the last one because that is where you will get more value than this answer for the second one. I know that's not the first time I'm getting that question, and it's a good question. The truth is that the mechanics, Africa is not on the demand side, it is on the supply side. So others come to buy, right? Others come to buy from us. But what is happening is that the carbon market is not as juicy as we think. Why? Because it's a market. And that market is established sometimes mostly through governments. And that market sometimes goes down. It doesn't produce proceeds. Sometimes they're selling a ton of carbon for a price that is not even worth it. And so it hasn't really picked up in Africa from a very financial juicy perspective. So the question should be, if carbon markets are functional, to what extent can the proceeds that come out of that from government be invested in initiatives like startup, like the ones that you people are doing? And that's a policy debate that we can be able to have. But to say that if you get into carbon markets now, you will make money, I'll be lying to you guys. It's as complicated and more complicated than you guys think. But you can benefit from it through a policy incentives. But I also want to say that carbon market as it is, it's not really where you can tap billions. You can tap billions turning waste to briquettes, turning waste to pavement ties, developing simple solar dryers that can help a model reduce, and you tap into a $48 billion US right at your doorstep. So don't get distracted, but it's good to understand how this architecture works, but leverage on what is at your doorstep that you have control over. Thank you. I think it's been quite a very enriching discussion with you guys, and you are doing good work, and all of you are winners. I mean, to be finalists is not an easy thing, and so you should know you're all winners. But know that the biggest winner is the person who leverages on what he or she is doing to touch a life of a mother in a village. That's how you win, to inspire other people so that at least they can create their own enterprises or work with you. That's how you win. To ensure that at least your voice is not in complaining, but it's in solutions that you can be able to advocate even when people are complaining, say, no, but this is what I sacrificed and did. And today I have this. So why can't you also do it? That will mean you become mentors for other people. And that way the spirit of complaining in Africa will start to diminish, and the discussion, the narrative of solutions will be elevated, and you guys will become the pace setters for transformational development. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. I wish you guys the best of luck, and please follow me on Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook if you want, and download my book and read it. And let's continue with the good work you guys are doing. God bless.
Thank you very much, Dr. Richard.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ibrahim. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys. Thanks, and
The time for blame game is over. Yeah. Let's use our talent to work. Yeah. Selflessly diversity solutions that will touch many lives, and let us do so. Remembering the words of the scripture in the parable of the